Andy, it's cup action this weekend for the New Saints women, but before then we've had a couple of very good victories in the league, which puts the side in fourth place.
The signs were coming. We'd played well for parts of the first game against Barrytown here on the opening day. We replicated that against Cardiff Met for periods when we went there and lost 3-0. So I think on the balance of the first two games we were unfortunate to come out with 0 points. We just kept faith as we did last season. We know that it's a long haul, we know that it's a process. Reality in football is you can't win every game, but as you rightly pointed out, it's nice that the last two games, the last 2 weeks that we've been on the better end of things, gathering points, moving up the table, developing confidence, seeing successes in the fruits of our labours on the training pitch. So yeah, things are looking up.
And of course, Andy, fans and spectators, the big thing for them is the result. But as the coach, the manager of the side, looking on, have you been happy with what you've seen in terms of overall performance?
Well, in jibs and jabs and bits and pieces, yeah, I think it's fair to say that we are. The big thing from my point of view here is to recognise that it's not just the 14 or the 15 players that have played at the moment. We've got a larger squad than that. We've got 21 players this season. We've got a couple of injuries at the moment, but essentially we've got 18 players in and around the first team squad that are contributing, that are pushing every week, that are challenging for starting places, and that healthy competition for places obviously motivates and inspires individuals within the group and the group themselves to improve week on week on week. And as the coach, that's what we're after. We want that sort of internal mechanism to drive itself, and then we know that what we're working with, rather than, I guess, sometimes you feel as though you're putting fingers in dams trying to plug holes and whatever else. It's certainly not like that at the moment. We've got a clear plan that we're working towards. We've identified a solid shape. We've got a good spine to the team. We've got some talented players, and we know what our strengths are. And each week we're trying to accentuate those strengths and give the players the freedom when they go onto the playing pitch during the game to go and sort of express themselves and be creative. And I think that's shown certainly in the last 2 weeks. 4 goals this weekend, 3 the week before. We scored in the opening game as well. So we've scored 8 goals in 3 games, and I think it took us a long while last season to score 8 goals. So to be sitting here after 4 games with 8 goals scored and 6 points on the board, we're more than happy. But as you rightly point out, there are things that we can see are working well, there are things that we can see we still need to tweak and we need to improve on. Obviously we've conceded rather a large number of goals as well, and we need to try and put the shutters up at the back a little bit and make sure that we're keeping more clean sheets.
After back-to-back wins in the league, is it possibly a distraction, if I could use that word in inverted commas, that it's a departure from the league itself this weekend as we're playing the FAW Women's Cup?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting viewpoint, isn't it? I guess for us it is. If we go back to last season as well, we've won 6 of our last 8 league games, and we just want to get into the nitty-gritty of the league and really get some points and establish ourselves in the league. So to have a week off, yeah, is a little bit disappointing. In particular with having missed the game already due to the national mourning. I guess in terms of the cup, it's nice to play in the cups, and we all want to play in cups, but the nitty-gritty, the bread and butter is the league, and personally I would prefer to be playing a league game this weekend, but the schedule's the schedule, you have to get on with it.
And Airbus UK Broughton, the opponent this coming Sunday, they play in the second tier of Welsh football. How much have you been able to gather about them in terms of information?
Very little, in all truth. We know a lot about the tier 1 teams because we play against them. We've got film footage of them that's out there. There's very little available for the tier 2 teams, so you've got to really dig deep to try and find some information about that. We're not really too concerned about the opposition. Most weeks we try and work to our strengths and our plans, and we'll do exactly the same this week. So we recognise that whichever game that you go in, there are 3 end results: win, lose, draw. This weekend obviously it could go to penalties as well. So we're just concentrating on what we've got to do to win this game, and we know if we play to our capacity, then we should be good to go. But we'll never be complacent, and we'll never underestimate our opponents, no matter who they are. and we'll be paying our due respects to Airbus UK this weekend.
As you mentioned that earlier, Andy, you do have a squad of players available. Would you be tempted perhaps to use some of those girls that haven't had that many minutes on the pitch this season, because it is a cup competition?
Yeah, I think we'll plan maybe for 1 or 2 changes. There'll not be wholesale changes. I think, you know, we're still very early in the season, and that flow and fluidity to our performance levels is really, really important. And you can only get that with consistency, which is born out of, you know, picking broadly the same 11 every single week. So yeah, there'll likely be 1 or 2 small changes this week, but nothing wholesale. We'll be looking to bed down on our strengths and work with the vast majority of the team that's performed in the first 4 games.
And it would probably be true to say that the Gennaro Adran Premier is your priority this season, to establish yourself in that league. Where do cup competitions such as this weekend fit in terms of priority?
Less so for us this year, but bearing in mind our performances last year, obviously we've set some goals. We did very well in both competitions last year. In the FA Cup we were very unlucky to lose here 3-2 to the eventual winners, Cardiff City, in a game that we were 2-0 up. So that was a huge disappointment on the day, but it gave us the confidence then to go and do other things during the season. Obviously in the Adjan Trophy we got all the way to the semi-final, again losing 3-2 to the eventual winners. So we know that it's an opportunity. We know that it gives us sort of the shop window, if you like, to show what we're capable of. Those 2 competitions along with the league are very important to us. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's the Adran, it doesn't matter whether it's the FA Cup. We want to perform well in every competition. We want to win every game where it is possible. And we'll be setting out this season, you know, to go on a cup journey in the FA Cup with the players.
Andy, you've made a number of new signings, of course, this season. We've spoken about those already. A few weeks further on, how have they bedded in? Not only in terms of what you see on the pitch on a Sunday, but also during the week as well, training both in the dressing room and on the pitch itself here at Park Hall.
Well, they're a massive sort of addition to the club this season. You know, if you think about, we've lost 1 player and we brought 5 in. Essentially what that's done is it's swelled the numbers. So straight away you've got more players at training and you can do more things, and it drives competition. So in the sense of sort of the in and around of the off the field, having greater numbers, you know, greater people to talk to, greater different things going on is really, really important for the social side of the group. In terms of the football, they've added quality. We spoke about that last week, and they're turning that quality into numbers on the pitch and helping us get results. But in terms of the players that we had from last season that we've retained, as I said to you earlier, you know, we're really grateful for the effort and the enthusiasm that they're imparting into the group, because collectively as a group of 19 or 21 we're all pushing in the same sort of direction, which is to move everything forward to promote the girls' game, and as you say, you know, really get a strong foothold for this football team across Welsh football. And if I may, you know, one player that I'd really like to highlight and accentuate at this moment is Leah Lewis. She's a player that we had last year. She's a real driving force of this team, of this group. She's got great personality, great character, both on the pitch and off the pitch. But what she brings is a real football talent and football intelligence to our team that is like the glue, and it glues everything together. So yeah, it's nice that we've got existing players, it's nice that we've got new signings, but there are some core players there that have been at this club for a long time that need special mention, and Leah Lewis is one of those.
And as we talk right now, there is a training session this evening. It's a question we ask on a regular basis. Do you have your starting 11 already set in stone, or could you perhaps be swayed by what you see out there on the pitch this evening, for example?
Yeah, I think early in the week you have some sort of an idea of where the game plan's going, what the formation looks like, and what personnel are going to slot into which position. But you know, at midweek here now, things can still happen. So for example, you know, we're informed yesterday that one of our players is ill and is likely to miss on Sunday. So straight away, that then creates an opportunity for somebody else. In terms of the training in this part of the week, of course we have to be, because there are too many things that are out of our control. If we sort of pick an 11 and then we train in that format tonight and then 2 or 3 drop out and then come in, that throws everything in the air of the weekend. So we've got a fair idea of what that might look like, but we don't really normally pick the team until Saturday, possibly even Sunday sometimes, when there's some indecision about a player, or there's 1 or 2 sort of debates about a positional change. So at this stage in the week, we're always open to be influenced, if that's the right phrase.
And finally, as you do think about the selection, what is the general availability of players?
Well, as I mentioned last week, Evie Williams, we're still waiting for confirmation of her registration, and we're still in that same situation today. We're no closer to getting her over the line, and we don't know how long that's going to take. So for the short term, she is naturally ruled out. With regards to the rest of the group, we've got 2 long-term injuries that are not progressing at the rate that we would have done, so that's going to be probably another 4 to 8 weeks for those 2 players. And then Lucy Platt, who was ill last weekend, she's fit and available, and she'll be back in the fold, and she's likely to start.